Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Confuse everybody.
You're a nug.
Jesus Christ.
Flerick,
Are
laugh
you ready,
loudly
Jake?
into your microphone. It's your turn now.
Are we recording, Jake?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Flerick.
And this is Mac.
And this is our Nagoya recap Basho no, how does this work? All right,
All right,
might have
take
to do this
five.
a third time.
Take
five.
No, this is our Nagoya Basho recap podcast. Nailed it. Absolutely perfect. First try every time.
That's why we call you One Take Ryan.
That's right.
Ooh.
Apologies for this coming out slightly later than usual. As we talked about on the Midway episode, the four of us were up in the great state of Minnesota. I refuse to acknowledge the fact that we were actually staying in Wisconsin. And we had a fine vacation together, and then we just needed a little bit of time to unravel and digest the final few days of the Basho, and then come together and give you the podcast that you all rightly deserve.
Yeah.
And truly, this Basho needed some digesting because what the hell?
What an awful Basho to have to wait to record a recap.
I thought
for.
you were just going to end it there. Like, what an awful Basho.
Yeah, I could have.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Hit the credits.
Hit the credits.
Before we dive into why this Basho might have been, let's say, less than savory for some folks, let's give a hand to some of our patrons. If you would like to become a patron of Grand Sumo Breakdown, you can go to Patreon, search for Grand Sumo Breakdown. You can sign up at the $1 level, which will grant you the right to one compliment per Basho, or you can sign up at the $3 level, which, if you want to ask us any questions, sumo or otherwise, we are honored by a blood oath to answer that question for you. So, Mac, why don't you give the compliment to a whole host of Grand Sumo Breakdown patrons?
Indeed, I shall. To Willie Jan, Rod Lunsford, Andrew Huntington, Jens Tho, Michael Chung, Justice Victor, Austin, Rob with a B, Lunsford, Nikki Shands, Daniel Roberts, Jeffrey Armando, DK, and the illustrious King Arthur.
My liege.
My happy place is just me, sitting in a meadow while the 13 of you high-five me in a never-ending loop.
Everybody just running a high-five train on Mac.
Yay! But that's my happy place.
Yeah,
I'm a happy
absolutely.
person.
And bonus shout out to Rod Lunsford. I found some more of those Utah truffles. I thought I'd finish them.
You didn't share?
No. I shared everything I was obligated to. I just thought I had finished my share, but I found a couple more in the pantry and scarfed them down in like a minute.
Those were so good.
Oh my god.
So before we dive into the results of the Nagoya Basho, we have some prediction series business to attend to. So all apologies to Yokozuna Jake and Yokozuna Flerick for not presenting them as they should have at the beginning of this episode. This is a dark day for Ryan. This is my first prediction series loss in over 2 years.
Wow.
Not happy about it.
Interesting. I'm glad that the stakes were upped last minute for this then.
Yeah. So we've got the very difficult sing a musical song challenge that I'm going to have to do, which I don't even know what song I'm choosing yet. So obviously it is not ready to be presented this episode. It will be ready for our preview of the Aki Basho. But if you remember, about a year ago, I thought I was going to lose the prediction series, and it was like a fan's choice on what they wanted the punishment to be. And we came up with having me to chug a beer or shotgun a beer of the winner's choice.
Specifically shotgun.
Yes.
Specifically shotgun.
And so that has already been completed. So once we get to our usual punishment section, we will play the audio if you're listening on podcast, or the video if you're watching on YouTube, of me shotgunning my first ever beer. Not my first beer since college, my first ever beer. And Jake selected the beer of Grand Sumo Breakdown's Fleric Bush Light.
That's Yokozuna Fleric's favorite beer.
I am so out of practice with this. You're gonna have to allow me some leeway here. That's right. The official beer of Grand Sumo Breakdown's Yokozuna Fleric.
You guys suck.
Yeah, we deserve that one.
And so, Jake, do you want to explain to people why I still have another can of Yokozuna, Jake? Why I still have another can of Bush Light here?
That's what I thought you said. Yeah. So we gave Ryan a special caveat. And there's no way that's your first like beer, right?
Like full can, maybe like my second ever.
Oh, full can.
Wow.
Yeah, like not just like nursing one for a whole party. Like yeah. Okay, I get you now.
Yeah.
The challenge was
I chugged one Bud Light at my aunt's funeral because it was a request of hers.
yeah, and that was 50% of the beer you've ever had.
Just about.
But no, we already did the shotgunning, but we also we added a kicker, me and Yokozuna Fleric as the co-Yokozunas. We picked out a couple songs that we will present to you to choose between for your musical number. And you, by drinking one more of Yokozuna Fleric's favorite beer, Bush Light, we will... by drinking that beer, we will give you the opportunity to choose which of those two songs becomes your punishment for the next episode where we make you actually sing it.
All right. So by doubling my most ever beer intake in an entire day, I will get the choice of songs. And so what I'm going to do, I am going to crack this open right there. The nice crisp sound of a Bush Light being opened. A sound that Yokozuna Fleric looks forward to every evening.
I just pretend it's a different beer and we're good to go.
So what I am going to do, I'm going to take a sip of that every time I forget to call Yokozuna Jake or Yokozuna Fleric Yokozuna. And then whatever's left by the time I need to choose my song, I'll just chug.
Yep.
You
When the beer is
we were
gone,
in the middle of craft beer country on our vacation, right?
Mhm.
You didn't sample any of those?
that's what makes it that much more special that it's
Yeah.
Bush Light.
Oh.
And also, this is interesting because like his desire to have some kind of agency in which song he does is this strong
Bingo.
for Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that's the big thing.
That last little bit of competitiveness, there's nothing we can do to get it out of him, so we might as well exploit it.
And lucky for me, at least as far as I can tell, Bush Light's at least 80% water, so it's not that bad.
It's probably a lot more than that.
Yeah.
To
All
be
right,
fair.
let's
Anyway.
get into some results for the Nagoya Basho. Our Yusho winner, as I stated on Twitter on day 6, immediately retracted on the midway, but we're going to go back and pretend I didn't retract it, is Maegashira 2 Ichinojo with a 12-3 record. This is his first career Yusho. We had 2 June Yusho winners. We had Yokozuna Tarano Fuji with an 11-4 record, his 8th career June Yusho, and also Ozeki Takakeisho with an 11-4 record. His kind of always surprises me when I see his June Yusho amounts. His 7th career June Yusho for Takakeisho. Probably not giving that guy as much credit as he probably deserves. For special prizes, Gino Show Technique Prize, I think rightfully so, not awarded to anybody. The Shuken Show Outstanding Performance Prize was awarded to Ichinojo. This is his 3rd career Outstanding Performance Prize and his 4th career special prize overall. And we had 1 Kanto Show Fighting Spirit Prize awarded to Maegashira 17, Nishiki Fuji. This was his first Basho. He met the requisite 10 wins to get the Fighting Spirit Prize if you get 10 wins in your first Basho. So obviously, this being his first Basho, this is his first career Fighting Spirit Prize and first special prize overall. Interesting to note, Nishiki Fuji won 7 matches and was awarded 3 Fusen wins to get to that 10-win mark. So the 3 Fusen wins in one Basho is the most in the top division ever. But
nobody's ever gotten 3.
Not before this.
Oh my
in
god!
The top division. In the top division.
Okay.
There was once in Natsu 2002 in Juryo, Kasuga Nishiki had 3 Fusen wins in the final 5 days.
I feel like this Kanto show needs to have an asterisk by it.
I feel like this Basho needs to have an asterisk by it.
Yeah. Who says he doesn't win those 3 matches? You know?
I'm just saying that the 3
Fuck
Fusen
asterisks.
wins...
Let's not do this. Let's just celebrate this guy.
I'm not trying to. I was impressed overall with his performance, but the 3 Fusen wins...
It's a bummer. I'm not going to argue he shouldn't get a special prize, but, like, it's a bummer for sure.
Thank you.
We're not taking it away from him, Flair. We're just giving all the people the information they need.
Yeah, and also giving the asterisk. I'm fine the asterisk. That's all I'm
just
saying.
An asterisk.
Right there.
I'm not taking it away from him. Just an asterisk.
In the official JSA West records, it will go down as a fighting spirit asterisk.
It has been added to the outline, therefore.
There you go.
That's all I wanted.
Into law.
Motion carries.
I'm outvoted, but please note my outrage in this. That's all I ask.
Very well, Yokozuna Fleric.
Indeed.
See, Jake's got me covered.
Just want to watch you drink
more
that awful Busch Light.
Yeah, my water tastes a little funny.
It's flavored water.
I can't really talk too much. I'm drinking like leftover Trulies from our vacation, and these are.
I did not like that. That was not good.
They're not very good, no. But they're in my house.
Wait, are you still drinking it, or is that empty?
No, I mean it's mostly empty.
And you took like the tab off the top?
I needed something to fiddle with. Give me a break. Wait.
Moving along.
I'm not the Tsukebito on this episode, Ryan.
You're getting quite bold, Tsukebito Ryan.
I apologize, Yokozuna Fleric and Yokozuna Jake.
Somebody needs to learn his place.
I shall not call out your weird habits, and it definitely makes drinking the.
Let me fiddle with this can however I like.
All right, I apologize. Let's talk about the most talked about part of the Basho, and it. Unfortunately, going into this tournament, we were like, hey, we don't need to talk about COVID anymore. We're letting all the fans in, even though they only sold like 60% of the tickets, it looked like. And we're going to go on the Jungyo tour after this. Like, COVID's done. Who needs it? Get out of here. Well, COVID wasn't happy that we took such a stand. 15 top division Rikishi, including Takayasu, who had to pull out prior to the Basho, had to be pulled out after testing positive for COVID or having a stablemate test positive for COVID. So let's look at the record-breaking Fusen stats for this Basho, which is why I think this Basho overall should have an asterisk. Maybe Nishiki Fuji Fleric, maybe we leave him unasterisked. Okay. But this Basho overall,
the whole
asterisk,
tournament,
yeah,
which is so much worse.
Yeah, I don't care about the Basho. Just stay away from Nishiki Fuji and my boy Ichinojo, and I think we'll be happy.
We'll
you have a happy Yokozuna.
All right. Alls I want are happy Yokozuna. So the Fusen stats, we had 117 matches throughout all 6 divisions, end with a Fusen win. This is by far the most, as the second most in history was 26 Fusen wins, which happened in 1992. So obviously dwarfing previous numbers, because why would any other tournament have these circumstances?
Like almost quadrupled.
Yes. We had 16 total Fusen wins in the top division, so that does include Daiamami pulling out for injury early, Takanosho pulling out early for injury. But prior to that, 10 was the most Fusen wins awarded in the top division, and that was in 1950. And then on Friday, at least Friday our time,
yeah, Friday for us.
It was Friday in Japan, too. It was just Saturday by the time we watched the matches. It always confuses me. So Black Friday, 7 of 18 matches in the top division on day 13 ended with Fusen wins, including a streak of 5 matches in a row. 7 is, once again, by far the most top division Fusen. in one day. The prior record was 3 Fusen wins in one day, which has happened 8 times. And one of those 8 times was day 11 of this Basho. So this Basho has 2 of the top 9 Fusen Kyujo pullout days in history.
But I remember watching that on the couch. We're all just sitting there like, okay, here's the first one. Here's the second one. The third. Oh, God.
What is going on?
And the 5th. Like, why? Why are we still here?
And on that Black Friday is when Nishikigi and Tamawashi both had to pull out due to positive cases in their stable, and both of them had perfect record attendance that was snapped after pulling this out. So Nishikigi had 1,110 consecutive matches. Tamawashi had 1,148 consecutive matches. Now, there is online speculation saying that it's not going to affect their consecutive match streak, but they did both pick up their first Fusen loss of their career. That's not going anywhere. And also, I haven't seen anything official from JSA East to say that their streaks are still alive. I think what everyone is pointing to is a Japan Times article titled Iron Man Tamawashi pulls out due to COVID-19. JSA may officially keep consecutive match streak alive. And the only thing that they're pointing to, the article says his streak is expected to be officially kept alive, however, as the JSA has supported COVID-19 related medical exemptions. So it doesn't sound like anything the JSA has said. It's just like, well, the JSA has been lenient about COVID stuff in the past, so maybe they'll treat this
extenuating circumstances.
And what does it even like mean for them to like recognize it still? Like, because those absences are still there. I'm kind of curious what that's going to look like.
If they do have it, asterisk next to the streak. If they continue the streak and they break records, I think you got to throw an asterisk at it. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. It's beyond their control, but it's what happened. And you can't ignore those 3 days that they didn't show up, in my mind, for the Nagoya Basho in 2022.
Yeah, I wonder if there will be some way that it's noted what, because like normal Kyujos are, the Rikishi is at least, it's like a consensual thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the wrestler agrees not to wrestle because they hurt, right?
Yeah.
But like this one is definitely different.
Like, you're not letting me compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, you officially, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird also to celebrate it, the Ironman, because it definitely was probably some matches like he was fighting hurt and stuff, which as a podcast we were definitely kind of against. You know, the notion of like kind of going out there when you're hurt and stuff.
Take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because like a lot of the official records, at least from the English side, seem to be like on fan like kept stuff. Like I know Sumo forums have this huge thread that gets updated like after each Basho and stuff, and maybe the fans will allow that to go. But I'm guessing if there was a Japan Times article, maybe there is like official like leaderboard on their website or some stuff like that. But
yeah, I don't know if the JSA has like any official hall that recognizes all these different sumo records, or if it is just like a fan thing.
They have like another
if somebody
stone
knows, let the consecutive matches streak
somewhere.
stone.
Yeah, like the Yokozuna Stone Ozeki. That seems to be the thing they do for Hall of Fame. Just make a giant stone.
It's a very small stone in the corner.
Somebody's going to go out there and like just tiny chisel Tamawashi's name right off of it now.
And now they do
or chisel in a little asterisk next to it.
That'll be what it is.
What's this? An asterisk.
Poor Tommy Mawashi.
Yep. Tommy Mawashi was done dirty.
R.I.P. Thomas Andrew Mawashi.
So Yokozuna Jake, does the JSA need to change its COVID policy to prevent this from happening in future Basho, where we had Rikishi that weren't testing positive, is just a stablemate tested positive, and then they pulled everybody out from the stable? Especially, it seems like right now the current strain going around is very infectious, but not nearly as deadly as what we were seeing at the beginning of the pandemic. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm the wrong guy to ask. You know how I've been this whole pandemic, but that's why you put my name on this question, obviously.
I
don't know.
You in a hard spot.
To me, I think I might be maybe I think if I were to loosen the standards, I would say like, as long as that specific wrestler tests negative that day, they should be allowed to wrestle. Maybe that's where I'd go with this. But if they maintain the current procedure of pull the whole stable out and make the whole Basho silly, just cancel the stupid thing. Like, just don't do it this way, I guess I would say.
Yeah. Not like this.
Not like
Not
this.
like this.
Yeah. So
it gets tough because there's so many contracts and money and stuff.
There's so
Like-
much money involved, and yeah, like they obviously the JSA would prefer as many people be able to wrestle as possible, while also not crossing that line of being too cavalier with the health of their athletes. So yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question. I guess if I was, put on the spot, if I was in charge, if JSA West finally gets our promotion to actually run the matches and all that, like we've been expecting, maybe if your stablemate tests positive, but you test negative that day, you are allowed to continue that day. Because, I mean, like, Ryan, you and I both got COVID over the winter, and neither of our wives did. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get it, even an asymptomatic case, living with somebody. So, like, that may be the place that I would be a little bit lax. But at the same time, cases in Japan, we mentioned on our midway, were, like, approaching an all-time high. They're now approaching twice the second highest peak as far as number of cases. So it's all over the place, and that's a bad thing. And you might say, but Jake, what about deaths? It's hard to say because deaths tend to lag cases by a couple weeks. We won't know for sure how specifically deadly this will be for Japan, but it is now in the realm of second or third highest peak, at least as far as COVID deaths in Japan as a country. So it's certainly not something that we can just brush aside and pretend it's the common cold now. It's still a big deal. So I don't know. I think that if you can't cancel a Basho, then I would say at least loosen to individual tests and quarantine Rikishi that do test positive. So I am 100% understanding of everyone who's like, this Basho was silly. Why'd we do it that way? It was silly. Why did we do it this way?
They had a rule in place, and I don't think the JSA is a big fan of changing rules on the fly.
On the fly? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Once they realized what was happening, I don't think they could have really done an about face.
Yep.
Many people probably wanted them to, but I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, they definitely like the precedent. I just am reading a quote translation from Kintamiyama. Apparently today at the Rigi Kai, which I think is like the player association meeting, I might be wrong, but they were essentially asking the thing, maybe we don't need to withdraw whole heias if someone tests positive. And it sounds like they're asking that question. We'll see if AIM policy actually changes.
Yeah.
And if they do change it the way that I said, then I claim credit.
There we go. Yeah.
Just making that clear.
So I don't know of many of the top division guys that were pulled out that actually tested positive. I know Endo was the positive case that pulled out the Oitakaze Bea, but I don't know if any of the other Makuuchi Rikishi did test positive that pulled out. So maybe if they go to that, we could have seen something where, well, Endo's gone, but the other 14 Rikishi got to stay in.
On the other hand, it might just be a thing where it takes a couple days because they weren't exposed to it at the same time. But at the very least, that's a couple extra days that maybe they could have been wrestling. So I don't know. Yeah. I do not think that we are at the point yet where a wrestler who has actively tested positive should be allowed to be face-to-face, chest-to-chest with another person. I think that is too far. But if that wrestler tested negative that morning, maybe that's where we need to go with it.
Hey, guys, are you tired of talking about COVID?
No, I actually have another couple pages on this.
Well, too bad. I am. So let's talk about what actually happened on the doyo of the Nagoya Basho.
Let's go.
Let's start with how the Yusho was won for Mr. Ichinojo. This was our second straight Basho where we could have had fun. We could have had like a three-way
We could have had fun.
Could have had a three-way playoff at 11-4. Who wouldn't want that? But instead, we got no playoff. We just got Ichinojo winning straight up. I'm going to say fairly anticlimactically because we'll get into it. But
as Ryan always says, the prospect of a 3-way is always enticing, but it just never really materializes.
never really pans out the way you hope it will.
He says that a lot, yeah.
I do
Does say that a lot.
So on day 15, Ichinojo and Tarano Fuji were tied at 11-3. Ichinojo won his matchup against Ura, and Tarano Fuji, and then it came down to Tarano Fuji versus Takakeisho. If Tarano Fuji won, he would force a playoff against Ichinojo. If Takakeisho won, which he did, it would give Ichinojo the outright win. And so that's what happened. Good match for Takakeisho, able to keep Tarano Fuji off his belt completely. Haven't seen that out of him for a while. I think it was the first time he beat Tarano Fuji since May of 2021. I have it written later on the outline, so I'll confirm once we get to that point. But I do think it's interesting. I think Tim Sumo on Twitter pointed this out, and if I'm attributing this to the wrong person, I apologize. Call me out on Twitter, and we'll correct it on the next episode. But the non-hair pull call for Ichinojo against Takakeisho decided the Yusho. If they had called that an actual hair pull, which Ichinojo did get his fingers in his hair, did pull his hair, if they had called that a Hansoku loss for Ichinojo, then we'd be looking at Takakeisho as your Yusho winner, because it would give Takakeisho one more win and Ichinojo one more loss, and Tarano Fuji would still be at 11-4. So just kind of a very interesting point to look at that one thing decided the Yusho. Yeah. We could be looking at 3-time Yusho winner Takakeisho right now.
But we're not.
I don't think anybody's going to cry for Takakeisho based on the way he handled it. Not very popular figure with giving up in the match and then just messing with his hair the whole time, waiting for somebody to raise their hand and call the Mono-E. So I don't think people are really too upset about this outcome.
We've definitely seen a little bit of like the gamesmanship attitude out of Takakeisho, so I think this kind of fits his character. But yeah, I don't know. It's not the end of the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. There was like a bunch of other matches he had to do well. He still lost matches.
Yep. Yeah, and then all I can think of is that roundhouse slap to Kota no Waka. I'm like, okay, now I feel better.
Was definitely a high point of the Basho for Takakeisho.
Totally.
Well, let's talk more about Ichinojo, something we have never said on this podcast in our 5 years of covering sumo. It just kind of looking at his career page on Sumo DB, it really does feel like he was destined to win eventually, because you look at what he's done in his career, he absolutely has potential to fight at this level, but it just seems like his body cannot keep up with the rigors of sumo at the highest level. Let's just take a look at the very beginning of his career. He debuted in the top division in the best, maybe the best division debut ever. I would have to do a quick query on Sumo DB to see if anybody has gotten more wins. I'll wait till one you guys are talking and look that up. But he had a 13 13-2 June Yusho with 2 special prizes and a Keen Boshi from the Maegashira 10 rank. And not only was this just his Makuuchi debut, this was his 5th career Basho overall. He was a Makushita Tsukedashi who debuted at Makushita 15. And he was in Makushita for 2 Basho and Juryo for 2 Basho. He won the Juryo Yusho in his first Juryo Basho, and then he lost in the playoff of his second Juryo Basho. What's up, Yokozuna Jake?
Dang, you remembered that time. He's only the 2nd foreign-born Rikishi ever to get Makushita Tsukedashi status after Japanese-Brazilian Ryudo. Also, sorry, as long as we're already talking about his career, a couple cool things that I learned about his background just since he won, and I decided I should figure out what the hell this guy's about. He is just like Hakuho and a bunch of the other Mongolians. He came from a Mongolian wrestling background, spelled B-O with an umlaut K-H, which I'm not going to try at because that's going to be a hard one. But honestly, that's probably pretty close. But what's interesting about Ichinojo is he is not a city dweller. He came from a nomadic tribe of Mongolians.
Like a legit nomadic tribe?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he came to Japan for high school and did things like judo, But yeah, so he did well enough in high school. He actually took an extra year to stay on as a high school coach, a year that he could have joined sumo earlier, but he decided to stay on and continue like coaching, working with youth sumo, and still got that Makushita Tsukidashi. And I just think that's a really cool background to come from. That's very unique as far as wrestlers that we've talked about.
Absolutely. So Jake gave me the ample time that I needed to look up the best debuts in Makuuchi history. So Ichinojo ties with two other men for the most wins in a Makuuchi debut with 13 wins. The other two are Matsu Arashi, who had 13-2 record in a Junyusho show in 1967, and then the 52nd Yokozuna Tarano Fuji debuted in 1964 with a 13-2 record. But Ichinojo had the two special prizes and a Kinboshi on top of it that the other two did not have. So I'm going to say definitively Ichinojo had the best Makuuchi debut of all time.
I'd agree with that.
I'm glad that you told us and didn't have us guess, because we would have never gotten there.
No, but back in the 60s, no way.
No, but I don't know. If you asked me to guess, I would have said like Akebono or Asashoryu, guys that just
Asashoryu was going to be my
rocketed
guess.
up the ranks, but even those guys didn't have that good of a debut.
I would say the only one that would be competitive is Ryo Goku, who had a 9-0-1 record to win the Yusho in 1914.
Oh,
so if you want to go way back, maybe the guy who won a Yusho
in the before times.
That's not quite the before times. I would call that the before times.
Okay.
So after this amazing debut for Ichinojo, he rocketed up to Sekiwake in just his second ever Basho, and he proved he belonged, or at least could hang in that area, as he got an 8-7 record as Sekiwake in his second ever tournament. And then he would mostly hover in the Sanyaku/Joy area for the next couple of years until he was forced to sit out of Basho due to injury in September of 2016, where he dropped down to Maegashira 13. After he got to that point, he slowly but steadily rose his way back up to the top and enjoyed the best stint of his career, where he was ranked Komusubi or Sekiwake for 5 straight Basho in 2018. He didn't always get a winning record in that area, but he did stay in the Sanyaku Joy area. And then he put forth his most impressive Basho up to this point, probably including this Basho, where he had a 14-1 Junyusho in Haru of 2019. His only loss that Basho was to then Ozeki Tochinoshin, and Ichinojo never had a chance to fight Hakuho, who would go on to win that Basho undefeated. So would have been real interesting to see Ichinojo face Hakuho in that one, but never had the opportunity. Then later that year, in late 2019, he was injured again and missed most of the Aki Basho and all of Kyushu, which dropped him down to Juryo for the first time since he debuted over 6 years ago. Similar to what he did after the first Basho he missed due to injury, he slowly but steadily made his way back to the top of sumo, getting back to the Sanyaku ranks for the last 2 Basho of 2021. He has remained in the Joy at this point until obviously he was forced to miss the Natsu Basho due to COVID, but we all know what happened in his return. He finally hoisted the cup that he narrowly missed twice in the past. And he conquered at least one demon in this tournament, beating Tarano Fuji for only the 3rd time in 16 tries and for the first time in over 6 years since before Tarano Fuji was injured and dropped down to Jonidan.
And that makes 9 Kinboshi for him as well. That is a crazy stat to me.
That's amazing.
Towards the top of the list.
Gotta be.
I'm gonna have to wait for somebody to talk a little bit longer so I can
Yeah, well, I'll talk a little bit longer about why I think
Kinboshi.
that's impressive. If you want to go to the Wikipedia page for the sumo records.
There you go.
No, I think
Jake.
that's
Yokozuna Jake. Damn it, that's a sip.
Yeah, it's a sip. I think that's a particularly impressive stat because obviously beating a Yokozuna is incredibly impressive, but he also has had a lot of opportunities to beat a Yokozuna, which means he's got to stay at the top, but also weirdly can't be a Komusubi or Sekiwake in order to do it. So
It's a very fine line.
It's a very fine line you have to walk, and it's something where like if you included Komusubi and Sekiwake in people that got Kinboshis, I'm sure there would be several people that had like, buttloads more than that. But yeah, treading that fine line of being Maegashira 1 to 4-ish, giving you those opportunities to earn those Kinboshi, I think that's really interesting, but it's also obviously impressive that even if he can't make it and stay in the Sanyaku long term or make it to Ozeki or something yet, he's at least got the talent to beat those Yokozuna.
Right.
Yeah. You can kind of see it. I remember like when he was like hanging around the Sekiwake Komusubi area. Like whenever you face like Hakuho or some other Yokozuna, he like kind of took it up a notch. Like I remember him versus Hakuho usually be a very close good match.
Yeah.
So he can definitely hang with the big guys.
Yokozuna Jake and Yokozuna Fleric once again did their job, vamped long enough for me to find the stat I was looking for.
Here for you, buddy.
So Ichinojo is tied for 10th all time for most Kinboshi. There are 5 other guys that have 9 career Kinboshi, and then there are 5 guys that have 10 Kinboshi, and then 11, 2 with 12, and the most is Akinoshima with 16 Kinboshi in his career.
16.
And to Yokozuna Jake's point, of the like 16 or 15 Rikishi that are tied for the top 10 most Kinboshi of all time, the highest rank for 15 of them is Sekiwake, and only one of them ever made it to the Ozeki rank.
Yeah,
Wow.
if you're going to stick around that long at that level where you're not quite Sanyaku but still good enough to beat Yokozuna, if you're going to stick around that long at that rank, yeah, I suppose the odds go down of you making an Ozeki run the longer you stick in that like upper joy kind of spot, right?
But then the stars that go along with your name, though. I mean, just the Kinboshi that go with it and the bumps that
the
go.
Permanent pay increases.
And that's what I was alluding to. It's like, do you need to be an Ozeki at that point?
Probably. I bet being Ozeki overcomes that. But
it's one of those things where, like, if you move into a higher tax bracket, you're still making more money, right? Like,
So, Yokozuna Fleric, how happy are you to finally see Ichinojo pick up his first career Yusho? A guy that we often call Snorlax because he's a sleepy boy. He doesn't always show up. How happy are you to see him show up? I'm going to say for the 3rd time in his career, but finally be able to take the entire tournament.
There you go. I am definitely happy. I'm finding as I go on, I enjoy these underdogs of sorts that that just have put like a lot of work in kind of doing stuff and such. I love that after like a very long time of where like he just had these great runs of form, he finally was able to stick out long enough for Hakuho to retire and get that Yusho.
Yeah, absolutely. If Hakuho was still around, Hakuho would have gotten 1 or 2 more wins than Ichinojo and denied him another Yusho in one of his best performances.
Yeah. But like it's just so nice. Like he's definitely like like I think like to be at the top, like most of the time they at least have a chance to like win the Yusho or of such. And so I'm just glad that finally in his career he can point to is like, hey, at one Basho I was the best Rikishi overall, and that's probably a great feeling. And so I'm happy for the guy.
Another question for you, Yokozuna Fleric. If Ichinojo had competed in the Natsu Basho, would he have won the Yusho in Nagoya?
That's hard to say. It sounds like his form, like it's hard to say. Maybe the rest played part of it into it. Like I have his records right here. He had a 9-6 to Basho before, so it's hard to say. He knows he definitely had the potential to, but whether or not he can like pull it together for 15 days, I have no idea.
So Mac, the only person I don't have to call Yokozuna, nice refreshing change for me. We had Tarano Fuji, who was in control, had his fate in his own hands the final 2 days when he went up against Ozeki Shodai and Takakeisho. If he had won both those matches, which he's done, these are his first 2 losses to an Ozeki since he's become Yokozuna, which is just about at a year now. So was injury, do you think, a major factor in Tarano Fuji's losses at the end of the Basho? Or do you just think Shodai and Takakeisho were bringing it this time and they wanted to show the Yokozuna that they could beat him?
It's so weird for me to say that Shodai brought it this tournament because I mean he definitely woke up, and I will give him credit for that. He went on a really impressive run. I don't want to take anything away from him. I don't want to take anything away from Takakeisho, but I think I've mentioned before that Tarano Fuji is the working man's Yokozuna. He's not flashy. It's meat and potato style, but yeah, it's his injuries, I think, that are starting to mount up with this. Combine that with a surging Shodai and Takakeisho being Takakeisho for Takakeisho's sake. I think they just stacked up to him. And he handed away a couple of losses that I'm still really about because he just got overextended. He got overexcited, like with Abi. Abi, he got too much momentum, couldn't stop himself. I think the same thing happened with Shodai. Shodai sidestepped him. He had too much momentum. He couldn't stop himself. So combine that with the other two, I'm like, I have to think injury is a factor at this point. Major, maybe not, but just mounting injuries combined with just overall exhaustion because he's a freaking Yokozuna makes sense.
Yeah, they have to do an extra dance between
Exactly.
bouts.
He's got to have the special intro every day, and then on the last day he has to do the final one. I mean, give the guy a break, man.
It really looks exhausting to me.
Yeah, has anybody done a study to see how much less energy a Yokozuna has going into his matches than a regular Rikishi because he has to do his extra dance?
This is why Yokozuna never win Yushos.
Yeah. Well, look at Kiseno Sato, like that dance really wore him out. Because after he became Yokozuna, like
he had to sit out for a year straight just because he did the dance for one tournament.
Yeah,
exactly.
Wow. A lot of work.
Wonder how many people are gonna be mad at us for calling it an extra little dance.
An extra little dance. I mean, probably the same number.
Ring entrance, Doyo Iri, ring entrance ceremony.
The same number of people who would probably judge us for saying that Kiseno Sato's record as a Yokozuna proved he never earned that rank.
Oh, those people.
Oh, that hurt to say.
That made me angry.
Jake, why?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that I do feel a little bit ill.
You apologize. You turn around and you apologize to that man on your wall right now.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Kiseno Sato.
Thank you.
Because we got our photo here. Oh my God, my image is mirrored. I can't figure. Where is it? But no, this is a newspaper that has our photo with Kiseno Sato in it. Special thanks to
the
John
front
Gunning.
page of the sports section of the Japan Times.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Sumo Breakdown was on the front page of the sports section of the Japan Times.
NBD.
Say that again until it feels real.
I can't say it once. That's a tongue twister right now.
Yeah. Must have been quite a slow news day.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know. I guess we got those American dorks. Whatever.
Hi.
Hi. Let's talk more about our Ozeki because this is more like it. This is what we expect from our Ozeki. Even Shodai, I cannot deny him his sumo this Basho. Mitake Yumi, unfortunately, he had the poor start, but he also was pulled out due to COVID. We don't know if he could have had a Shodai-like turnaround. So who's to say Mitake Yumi wouldn't have brought it in the final week? But after absolutely dismal showing last tournament, they heard my song. They're like, he's right. We Ozeki need to honor our name quite a bit better. And they did it. Takakeisho finally completed 3 consecutive Basho for just the second time in his 18 Basho stint as an Ozeki. He has never completed 4 consecutive Basho as an Ozeki. So look for him to pull out of the Aki tournament, it would seem.
Oh, no.
This is where I had the note about Takakeisho beating Tarano Fuji. Can confirm it is the first time he beat him since May of 2021. That's when they fought twice on the final day of the tournament. Takakeisho beat him in regulation on day 15 to force a playoff, but then Tarano Fuji won the subsequent playoff match.
God, that feels like a million years ago now.
It does.
Yeah. And then Shodai, he gets 10 or more wins for only the second time in his 11 Basho stint as an Ozeki. He beat Tarano Fuji for the first time since Tarano Fuji's return to the top division in July of 2020. He beat every Sanyaku Rikishi except for Takakeisho. And this is the second consecutive time that Shodai has beat Kadoban by starting at least 1-4 and then finishing with just one loss in his final 9 or 10 matches.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
So yeah, Jake,
That's a sip.
Yokozuna Jake, we have Shodai who gets 5-10 record, gets 6-9 record, 7-8 record. And then in the first week when he's Kadoban, he looks like that Shodai that had showed up the previous Basho. But then after 5 or 6 days, it's like, it's real. Oh crap, I'm gonna lose this Ozeki rank. And then he's just unbeatable. Like, is Shodai the most frustrating Rikishi that we currently have as a sumo viewer?
That
Because,
is
like,
an extremely loaded question, Sukebito Ryan.
Indeed.
And I would
Because
say
we
the
all-
opposite.
But we all know what he is capable of. Like, his 2020 was amazing, where he performed spectacularly throughout the entire year, and then he gets to the Ozeki rank and he's just not living up to it. And then we see these flashes when his rank is on the line. He can be that 2020 Shodai, he just isn't, and it's very frustrating, I think. So
to you.
okay.
No,
Suki Ryan, I'm with you on this. I think it's super frustrating.
That's why Yokozuna Fleric is my favorite Yokozuna.
Ooh. I am the East.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jake's
he's the East.
Yokozuna, Jake's the
Fleric
West.
is the East Yokozuna.
we'll have to settle this in a playoff match because there can be no ties in sumo.
We're talking about playoffs?
I would
Sorry,
disagree.
it had to be done. Anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right. It had to be done. It always
Except for
has to be
Jinyu
said.
Show, there can be ties.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, sometimes, but not this time. Damn it. No, I would. I don't know. To me, it's too much fun to call it frustrating.
Yeah.
It's if you. And I'm sorry that this probably sounds like I'm attacking you, Ryan, but if part of your derivement from enjoying sumo is being able to predict what's going to happen, Shodai's extraordinarily frustrating. However,
No offense taken. That is 100%
if you
how I get some enjoyment from the sport.
exactly, but if you like to watch sumo the way Shodai likes to do sumo, and you're just kind of along for the ride, it can be a blast. And it's one of those things where, like, to me, like, he's kind of become the ultimate meme fighter. Like, you know, we got guys like Chiyomaru or Chiyoshoma that are just they're memes for their own reason, but like Shodai just seems to be like, no matter what the expectation is, he will break it.
Yeah,
and
that's accurate.
and maybe it's just the case that I don't like him enough to like be that invested, but to me it's just a blast just to watch him consistently disappoint people on both ends of the spectrum of liking him, you know?
Yeah.
I
You're
don't
a
know.
fun neutral, just kind of watching it from the outside. Kind of like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he did well. Oh yeah, he did bad.
Yeah, like I'm the
Hey,
guy
no,
I'm the guy, like, all the fireworks are going off at the same time at the fireworks show, but there's the one guy in the corner just like, hey, cool.
great
Yeah.
success.
And at least for the last couple Basho, I feel like that's me. Just, whatever, this isn't what I wanted, but it's kind of fun, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just kind of like, I guess, just kind of watching and saying like Shodai's gonna do Shodai things. I just have that little bit of history to kind of where I actually did picking him. I was depending on him to do predictable things, and that's when he didn't do that. And I'm
That's the
just
thing.
tainted forever that he's definitely still frustrated.
Yeah.
It's still frustrating Rikishi for me, but I've definitely kind of got to accepting like Shodai is just gonna be Shodai.
No matter
So-
what, no one is going to pick him as a champ or a chump in our prediction series for ages. Like, it's that is just a terrible decision.
That's what I'm going through now. I'm trying to figure out when is the last time one of us selected Shodai as a
Like, at
champ
all.
or a chump.
I want to
And-
say Fleric choosing him for his chump at least at some point.
It's
No,
yeah,
it
way back.
looks like Haru 2021. Mac selected Shodai to be his champ. Shodai got 7 wins for Mac.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sounds right.
Yep.
I think that was while you were picking him too, Ryan. I was just like smiling because it was like,
No,
aha, now you
that's-
know the frustration that is Shodai.
The Basho before that, it was Jake who selected him as his champ.
Okay.
Oh,
And
and
I'm
he
not
did pretty good.
And then I'm not seeing a whole lot of Shodai prior to that.
He's
so.
just not a fan of me. I think we've decided that. Like we know who's going to be their fans. Shodai is not a fan of me for the show, so that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick him again.
It's one of those things where like you can't pick him to do well because obviously he just won't. You also can't pick him to do poorly because then he'll do well.
Just
you
won't.
also can't reverse psychology him because then he'll just like do the opposite of what you're expecting him to do the opposite of and just somehow do mediocre.
All right, I just kept going back because then there was a while we were selecting Shodai as chump, and then in January 2020, Jake selected Shodai as his chump, and he looks like he went.
I bet you I lost that one.
You did. You had 3 overall points. Shodai netted you -4 points.
Oh, yep. He got a Junyu show and a Kanto show in that one. Is that one where I had to sing?
Probably.
Yeah. I
That's
deserve to sing. I deserve to sing for that one.
But I will say to wrap this back up, as Ozeki, where you want Ozeki to be doing well, this is great for Shodai. Like props to him. He had a good Basho.
Yeah. Of course he needs to do this more regularly to be like considered the Hall of Famer, as we always discuss him as potentially. But yeah,
Hall of Famer.
So let's transition from talking about the strength of our Ozeki to just the strength of the Sanyaku overall. This is our second consecutive Basho where all Sanyaku, not all Sanyaku finishing with winning records for 2 consecutive Basho because we had Abi with a 7-8 last time. But all Sanyaku finished with winning records this Basho or were COVID Kyujo in the case of Mitake Yumi and Daisho. A note in there, Wakataka Kage, he did get a Kachikoshi, but he does not complete his Ozeki run. At this point, after a 9-6 and 8-7 records, any promotion is going to be at least 2 Basho away.
Yeah.
So he kind of unfortunately squandered that Yusho that he won back in March and was not able to turn that into an Ozeki run. Yokozuna Jake.
For Wakataka Kage, he even got a Fusen win this time, so he was 7-7 in the ring. So unless he like basically gets the next 2 Yushos, that's the only way that this could be the beginning of a Ozeki run.
Absolutely. He'd have to blow it out of the water the next 2 tournaments. I think we've seen a couple of times actually with recent precedent, 8 wins followed by 11 followed by 13 will get you an Ozeki promotion. So we'd have to see some sort of trajectory like that for this 8-7 to count.
Yeah, like ramping up and finishing that with the Yusho maybe, but much more likely he's just hit the reset button.
Yeah. So Yokozuna Fleric. Wakataka Kage is 27. He'll turn 28 later this year. Do you expect him to make an Ozeki run in his career at this point?
Do you mean like get Ozeki or make another good run?
Actually get the rank of Ozeki.
It's going to be tough. I think it's his cohorts are just like so strong right now. Like, like a good run of stuff going on, but even like the Ozeki have starting to kind of show back up as well.
Basho. Yeah, at least
for one
right
Basho.
now.
That's very true. It's hard to it's like hard to really say, but it's just like everyone around him so strong, and to like be Ozeki, you have to like continually say I am a step above everyone else, and I just don't see that happening again. Like for probably, I think he might have some hot streaks of where he might actually be looking pretty good, like, hey, I might be on a run again. But for that to actually happen, for that to actually happen with like the strength of that everyone in the joy right now, I just don't see it as likely at the moment.
Yeah. And another strong person that he has to contend with, Hoshoryu, he finished very strong. He should have been 10-5 instead of the 9-6 he ended up with. He started with a 1-4 start, but once again, Hoshoryu kind of getting hosed by the judges in the Shimpan. There was a bad call in his day 15 match against Midori Fuji. No Monoi was called, and it cost him a win on day 15. Looked pretty clear that Midori Fuji's, the top of his foot flipped over, touched the doyo before Hoshoryu stepped out of the ring or any part of him touched. And then even then, like the rest of Midori Fuji's leg or arm looked like it touched the same exact time Hoshoryu would have touched down, and no Monoi was called. So tough luck for Hoshoryu. He certainly showed his dismay with the Shinpan staring daggers into one of the Shinpan at ringside, but to no avail.
Just
but
hold off for a minute. You can't embody your uncle this soon. You got to get to that.
Yeah.
Got to get
he
higher
wants it
rank
now.
before we can do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But overall, with our Sanyaku, this is the second straight time where we're not going to have any Komusubi or Sekiwake fall from the Sanyaku ranks. We had another group of strong performances in the Maegashira 1 through 3 ranks, probably Maegashira 1 and 2 ranks, I would say this time. Next, Basho, I don't think there's any argument to be made to not open 1 or 2 new Sanyaku slots. Ichinojo definitely is getting in there. I would assume Kiribayama's probably also getting in there. So we're seeing pretty great performances from this same group of Rikishi, Basho after Basho.
What do you think about Daisho going 6-6 in the ring and then getting pulled out for COVID?
I think that, so the Isekahama Oyakata met with press after they put together the Banzuke. And
Oh
he
God,
really
it was so
tight-
frustrating.
Yeah, he was really tight-lipped about anything, wouldn't really give any specifics because that would give away the Banzuke. He basically said, we're treating them fairly. And so I think...
What does that mean?
Nobody
just gonna-
knows.
Yeah, for purposes of building the Banzuke for the next Basho, I'm going to just have my own interpretation of what fair is. And my interpretation of what's fair to do with Daisho, he did not earn a Makekoshi in the ring, so I don't think you can demote him.
Gotcha.
He was 6-6 at the time he was pulled out. I think his final record shows like 6-7-2, but
Yep.
in the ring he was 6-6. I don't think you can extrapolate one way or the other and say that he deserves to be demoted. I don't think that would be fair.
Sure. No, and I'm sure that we're going to get into a lot more completely
we'll get into
useless.
some minutia.
Oh,
We'll
no.
get into
On
some
the
minutia.
on the Banzuke episode, it's basically going to be just us arguing back and forth about like what should be done with these wrestlers. But like,
Are you ready for a 2-hour episode?
there's nothing else to talk about on this Banzuke episode except for Isegahama saying, "Oh no, and I guess I'll be fair." Like, hey, come
Yeah.
on, man, give us something to chew on here. Ugh,
Guess the Banzuke is going to be an absolute mess.
just a car crash.
But Mac, I'm curious what like I said, we've seen this group of Sanyaku Rikishi repeatedly perform well enough to not drop. We've seen like the same group of Rikishi ranks Maegashira 1 through 3 for a little while now. What do you think the repeated winning performance of the Sanyaku and like this group of Rikishi and the Joy kind of means for the future of sumo? Because I feel like this is the first time we've seen this consistently good performance from like a group of the top 12 to 15 since we started watching sumo. So Mac, what do you kind of extrapolate that to mean for the future of sumo?
I am seeing good things with this because at this stage right now, this is a crucible and we're seeing who can be forged into something incredibly amazing or who's just going to burn away and flake out. These guys have been consistently performing really well. And I think they're going to really make up moving forward some fantastic matches. Love the rivalries. I have nothing but hopes for the future of the sport at this point.
Yokozuna Jake.
Takanosho, I think, is the bummer out of this group, just because his Kyujo, well, not because of how he's been wrestling, but because he's been injured.
Oh yeah.
I think like if that shoulder, was it the shoulder for him?
Yes, I think it was a
Yeah, I think so.
If that heals up, he's only like 1 or 2 basho away from being right back up in this conversation. But we at least have to knock him out of here for now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a group of Rikishi that would be contending for next Ozeki. I'm just real quick want to hear who does everybody think the next Ozeki will be? And we'll start with Yokozuna Fleric.
It's gotta be Hoshoryu. I've just been so impressed with his matches as Basho. He's slowly becoming, I feel like, a complete like top Ozeki Yokozuna level of just like sumo. It's just looking so good. It's still definitely like not 100% there, but he's just kind of you can see like the progress of like his sumo improving Basho to Basho, and like he just pulls out good matches every once in a while. Like I thought his one against Tarano Fuji was just absolutely fantastic. He had like a plan. He was trying to do it. It didn't work out, he has that wily stuff on the edge of where he tries to save himself, and like honestly, it should have like worked out if like not for something else. I think I am just in love with his sumo, so Hoshoryu is definitely gonna get my vote in that regard.
What about you, Yokozuna Jake?
I want to agree with Hoshoryu, but if you look at his record for this Basho, and I'd love to look into this a little bit more without, doing it off the, from the seat of my pants here. He didn't beat anybody ranked above him.
Well, as long as he keeps rising in the ranks, that's not going to be an issue.
No, but I feel like it's one of the. Well, yeah, no shit.
Yeah. I would love for that to be his one weakness. It's like, I can never beat someone above me.
Nope.
Never beat this guy.
Everybody below
But
me,
everyone
but
else
nobody above me.
Yeah, but the people above him just do bad, so they eventually go away, and like
Yeah.
he's like the only one left.
So I guess one of the things, and this is just as much playing devil's advocate as saying what I actually think, but Abi is somebody that can absolutely pull an upset on anybody at any moment. Hoshoryu, because I think in part because he's a belt wrestler, like 100%, that means that the guys that are better than him, he will lose to every time. And the guys that he's better than, he will beat every time. More consistently than Abi, who's got the volatility to beat anybody on a given day. So I think it's at least worth considering the fact that, like, consistency could be an enemy in some sense, but like when it comes to getting that Ozeki rank, you gotta have a run for half a year. You gotta be consistent Basho to Basho. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not gonna advocate and say that Abi is more likely than Hoshoryu, but I would put him in the same category as far as likeliness, just because he's more likely to pull off crazy upset wins that he shouldn't have, I guess, by ranking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's worth being in the consideration, and since I don't want to just blindly agree with Flerick because that would be boring as a podcast, Abi's another guy that I think should be in the mix.
Yeah. It's so when you say he loses to people better than him, like do you mean that by rank or just kind of like more experience and such?
I guess both. So let me bring up Hoshoryu versus Tarano Fuji. 0 and 8. Yeah. So like Tarano Fuji's better on the belt than Hoshoryu is at this point. So how does Hoshoryu ever get a win on him? Like, I'm sure eventually in their careers, it's likely he will sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But
I definitely I would say like I agree with you like at the point, but like I feel like the experience is going to change as time. I think his body is going to change over time. He's still like a diamond in the rough. I think I remember reading somewhere like one advice he got from his uncle or maybe some other like sumo orikato was to add weight slowly. Like don't try to like pack on as much as possible. Actually slowly do that. And he's like slowly getting bigger and bigger. And I think like he can get away with different styles. Like pushing sumo is like I think being huge is really, really good. And so like once he starts to get like a bigger size, he can probably start doing more Oshi like pushing style. Like Hako could.
Sure.
One of the reason why he was probably the best ever, he can do either style. Like he can do anything.
Yep.
Yeah. And
no,
so like,
I
once
agree
he
with
gets
you.
to that, he might be able to get that done.
I agree with you. And I'm sorry, Ryan, how did you phrase the question? Was it the next or was it who's
Next?
Okay.
Next.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in
That's
that
fair.
sense, I would say that Hoshoryu is probably number one if I had to pick anybody that wasn't Ozeki who was most likely to get Ozeki in their career long term. But he's also 5 years younger than Abi. And let's see, how old is Wakataka Kage? Because he's not
27.
He's not a spring chicken either. Like, well, I mean, in sumo terms.
In sumo years.
In sumo years, in mileage. But like, I mean, I think that Hoshoryu is super likely to get it, but like, I don't know if he'll be the next one. I think that
That's a good point.
It's certainly between him, Wakataka Kage, and Abi, in my opinion. But I just wanted to make sure that I brought up Abi because his volatility could work for him, depending on if it works out a couple times in a row.
Yeah. That's a good point of like who's like good now to like make these matches happen.
Sure.
It's going to depend a lot on how they develop and stuff and such.
Mac, do you have another name that you would throw in the ring to be the next Ozeki?
I do, and that would be Kiribayama. He has done consistently well and he's proven that he can hang with these guys. pulled out a couple of double-digit wins the past couple Basho. Didn't make it happen on this one, but he can definitely hang with the guys, especially in the M4 to M1 range. Like, I'm excited. I think he can definitely keep it going.
You're all wrong. It's Koto Nawaka. So
Koto Nawaka didn't even get a
Really?
Kachikoshi this time around, Ryan.
you're right. How misguided of me. Is there anybody else anybody wants to mention on this Bansuke before we move on to the lower division Yusho winners? Mr.
Yes,
Mac.
I have a special good try, Wakamoto Haru. You finally did what I thought you would do. Never mind that you did it for Basho later than I were hoping you would, but you actually got your Makikoshi. Now go back down to the Bansuke where you belong.
Well,
Whoa.
I've played around with this Bansuke son.
Wow.
He's not dropping that far.
No, I know he's not.
I don't think he's getting
actually
past. I don't think he's getting past Maegashira 5.
But I'm just saying, it's like, okay, you jerk. I just have this rage boner for him just because he screwed me over in a couple of bad picks. But
Oh, there you go.
anyway, I have
this-
nothing against him. It's just personal bias.
Yeah, this prediction series is just so weird on the hate and love we place on Rikshi.
Absolutely.
Because this is a guy, like, he's like the older brother from Wakataka Kage. He's making damage, like getting
Right.
up there in the Bansuke. And Max is like, damn it. I hate this underdog Rikshi.
I've
This
decided I
underdog
hate
is
you.
screwing me over.
I had a couple that I thought were worth bringing up. Midori Fuji. Way to go, Short King. Represent. Onosho, not dropping further. Now he's at the rank where he can kick a lot of ass. And I think that's great. Onosho's a guy that kind of came up around the same time as our podcast, so I kind of always feel a bit of a connection to him. So good for him. Also, Oho, a guy that like just barely started his career when we had started our podcast, finally getting some good results in the top division. So yeah, cool. Some young guys that are fun to watch. And I'm sorry. And last thing on Oho, he started at the exact same Basho as Hoshoryu.
Oh wow!
So he's lagged behind a little bit. They both got up to like Makushita, like upper Makushita, like right
Around
on
the
pace with
same
each
time.
other. Yeah, and then Hoshoryu just kept going. Whatever it was about his talent and his
It's the
training
glare.
and all that,
It's
it
the
just
evil glare.
yeah, maybe just pure spite. But
Yes.
that allowed him to keep just shotgunning up the ranks. Whereas Oho's taken his time through Juryo, and now he's finally solidified himself in Makuuchi, and I think that's really cool.
Oho definitely needs to work on his stamina throughout the Basho. You look at his record since he started doing 15 days of tournament. He has abysmal records in the final 5 days of tournaments.
Yeah. No, he's a big guy, and I think like Flair, like you brought up, maybe putting on the weight slower, maybe being more gradual in your ascent to being a top size guy is a good strategy. Because Oho's already there size-wise. He's already a monster for sure. But yeah, his technique is what's holding him back a little bit.
Just a couple more guys like Shima no Umi, like 1-14. Like, what happened?
Didn't even have COVID to fall back on.
Yeah,
Nope.
like how often have we seen one win in a tournament? I guess Meisei did it really recently, but
Chio Tairyu, I want to say, did that at some point.
I feel like
Possibly.
Yutakayama did one of those.
It could be.
I think he had a 2-13. But yeah, it just feels really rare to see the 1-14. So it's just like, what happened to Shima no Umi there?
God, how do you remember that
was he-
Yutakayama had a 2-13?
He was probably Maegashira 3. It's probably his career high rank at the time.
You already brought it up.
I mean, I've talked about it in the past.
No, you already brought it up. You're already looking at the stats. I don't believe that that's from memory.
I'm
Get the hell out.
absolutely
Who else is
not.
next?
Oh. Okay, wait a second. Yeah, I think he got married, didn't he? Shima no Umi?
Shima no Umi did get married, so
Yeah.
he's not hanging with the boys.
Not
Yep.
hanging with the boys.
As far
all
as
makes sense.
as far as boys hanging goes, like the year after I got married was definitely a 1-14. I understand. I get it.
All right.
Anyway,
shall we? let's distance ourselves from hanging boys and let's talk about the lower division Yusho winners real quick. In Juryo, we had Ryuden, He's going to be back in the Makuuchi division next Basho after his return from suspension. This is his second Juryo Yusho in the past 3 tournaments. In Makushita, Yoshi, Mario's best friend, at 18 years old, won his first career Yusho. He started when he was 15, and this was his 12th Basho in Makushita. So this will launch him to his career high rank, and he should be in promotion range for the Aki Basho. In Sandanme, Asanoyama, of course, won the Yusho there. This is his first career Sandanme Yusho, and this will be the start to his, I assume, very quick return to the Sekitori ranks. In Jonidan, we had Hitoshi. He is 24 years old. This is his second career Jonidan Yusho, his 7th career Basho overall. He started off real well in his career, but then he had to sit out for 3 consecutive Basho after reaching Sandanme. And so he's coming back from Jonokuchi to begin his career. And then down in Jonokuchi, we had Takahashi. He's 23 years old, and this is his first career Basho. So a good start for Takahashi. And one bit of news, Magaki Oyakata, the former Hakuho, and Miyagino Oyakata have officially switched elder stock, and Hakuho is now Miyagino Oyakata, which means he is now the head of the Miyagino stable.
Super proud of our boy.
Yeah,
indeed.
Good
doing us at JSA West. Very proud.
Yeah, it's the recommendation that we made to YDC West, who is also us.
Well, we recommend that he be able to use his wrestling Shikona of Hakuho, but
but that didn't fly.
It's okay.
We know that he got the tramp stamp tattoo of his real Shikona Hakuho, so that's good enough for now.
Yeah, and we knew back when he retired and he became an elder, they had all this hubbub. Like, he had to sign a document saying he's going to be a good boy, and there's some people who didn't want him to become an elder. And I think somebody had said, like, he should have to have good behavior for at least 10 years before he takes over a stable. So luckily, whoever that was did not get their way. And
You sit down. You sit down right now.
The new Miyagino Oyakata will be able to run a stable, and hopefully very successfully for a very long time. He's already got Hokuseiho, who got 11-4 record in his Juryo debut. So he's got a bright star in there already.
Yeah, I got one other thing of news I want to bring up. So, talking about the Gyoji and stuff this past Basho, the
Yes.
one of the previous retired Gyoji, the 37th Kimura Shonosuke. Yeah, that's the one. Which is the name of the highest Tate Gyoji that you can have. And this was the most previous one, where I guess he retired, I think, in 2015 or so, sometime around the 7 or yeah. So he unfortunately recently passed away. But the interesting thing I want to make, that's something very sad and newsworthy in sumo, but about his career, they were kind of talking about it. Apparently, like during his time as like Inosuke and Shonosuke, like the 2 highest Gyojin ranks, he actually apparently never had like a wrong decision his entire time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is like super impressive, especially when we kind of look towards the current like Inosuke. I can think of top of my head some kind of questionable ones, even beyond this like Basho itself.
I think I've seen he's had 6 overturned calls in either in his career or in his current role, which is pretty high for somebody in his current role.
Yeah, it's I honestly kind of sympathize with Gyoji sometimes because they have to like pick a winner, and sometimes it's like really, really tough to do. But it's like he was definitely someone who took it very seriously, and like he did it right up to 65, the mandatory retirement age, and so he kept with it. I would say there was like a fun interview where I think he was doing some shades, like, oh yeah, it gets really tough as you get older because you have to do like the tougher matches. But I made sure like to walk and like do squats every single day when I could, and I was like, I wouldn't have made that mistake. Like when there's like a loose mawashi, you have to like yell with all your might to make sure that they know that they have to stop the match and stuff like that. It was an interesting interview that I read. So
yeah, they definitely like to throw shade at the current Shikimori Inosuke. Because he is slightly overweight, which they like to throw shade at him for that.
Yeah,
so
he's also like an old guy still doing this really like demanding job, So yeah, whatever.
So let's stop down, take a quick break here. We'll come back. We'll get Jake's. Damn it.
Zip.
We'll get Yokozuna Jake's head exploding live in person when he reveals the results of the GSB belt. And then we'll get to all of my punishment stuff, along with everything else we do.
I hate you.
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back. I quit the podcast.
I was expecting some Scanners level head explosion here at this point.
Did you know that they actually did that by having a guy literally shoot the prosthetic with a shotgun from below?
Yes.
Literally.
I thought you were just going to joke us. Did you know they literally had a man's head explode for that movie?
Well, in the
with
movie,
a shotgun.
it was a mannequin.
Why are you feeling this way, Jake? Yokozuna Jake.
Okay, I'm back on top. I'm back on top.
You're the guy who throws like the conversation to everybody because it just comes up all the time.
So, the GSB belt. This is the second iteration of the GSB belt, where if you win a match against the person who has the belt, you take the belt, and then you hold it until somebody beats you. And then we want to watch how long does it take for the belt to get up the rankings. So, for example, last time we did the first iteration of the belt, starting at the Kyushu Basho of 2019, and it took until midway through 2021 for it to go all the way to the top of the Bansuke. Now this belt, this son of a bitch, is taking its damn time because we started it with the very, very first match of the Nagoya Basho last year between Byakuen and Shonen Sakura. Obviously, Byakuen beat Shonen Sakura because that's how Shonen
Sakura.
Yeah, fight on, little samurai. But regardless, the belt worked its way up, and it it eventually got to Ryuden when he was in Makushita. And Ryuden was just about to break through and bring the belt to Juryo. And then the bastard loses one of his last matches to a guy way down in mid-Makushita, which brings the belt...
That is Nishikawa, who is now Gonoyama, who is now in Juryo himself and got a winning record.
And is now higher ranked than the belt. Because he beat Ryuden, so rather than Ryuden bringing the belt up with him to the next division, the belt plummets down to mid-Makushita. And then the same thing has happened twice in a row. Ryuden lost it to Nishikawa, who brought it way up to the top of Makushita. And then lost it at the last second, let's see here, to Kinbozan, who was in mid-Makushita, which, he did a great job, so he got up to upper Makushita, right back where we started again. And then the same thing happened to Oshoma, who won the belt at the end of that Basho, and it just stayed at the top of Makushita again.
Oshoma brought it up to Juryo.
You're right. I'm sorry.
And then in this tournament,
he brought it. He crossed the barrier.
He lost to somebody. He lost to Kinbozan, I believe, in Makushita.
Chiyo Sakai first. And then Kinbozan.
And then Chiyo Sakai lost to Kinbozan, which brought it back down to Makushita, and then Kinbozan
lost it to mid Makushita Yoshi.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
And so it'll be right back up to the top of Makushita. See, our first belt iteration, it was an absolute prodigy, an absolute phenom, rocketed to the top. There was no stopping him. This guy, it's going to take him a little bit of time, get his feet wet in Makushita before he's got up to Juryo. He got up there,
kinda.
But it wasn't quite ready. Oho wasn't quite ready. He got knocked down out of Juryo the first time. So, it's just taking a little bit of time, but he'll get there eventually.
What's frustrating is that the first belt at the same number of matches. So not necessarily the same number of Bashos, just because, jumping between 15-day and 7-day divisions. At this number of matches in the last one, we were in Makuuchi with Chino Kuni on his injury recovery run. And then it took another 50 matches to get up to the top. So at this rate, we will be in Makushita for, 17 years. And then it will take another 17 years to get to the top of Makuuchi. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm vulnerable. But we're going to be okay. Let's move on from this stupid belt that I don't care about anymore.
All right, let's make Yokozuna Jake a little bit happy as we get to our full results and prediction series section, where Yokozuna Jake won for probably the first time since I lost last time. It's been a while.
Okay.
Prove me wrong.
I'm gonna try and probably fail. But damn it, we're gonna be accurate in this. Let's see. When was the last time that I actually won?
Yeah, but up. Winner.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, that's bad.
That's the one, right?
Less than 2 years.
A little less than 2 years.
A little less than 2 years. End of 2020, I won, and I made Mac do a movie scene, and I think it was the Princess Bride one.
It was the Princess Bride.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, God. That was so long ago. Oh.
Also, I am noticing this, the loser, since that date, Mac has lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh,
Like
of course.
6 times as
No.
well.
I usually, yeah.
This is only the
Yeah.
third time in 2 years that Mac didn't either lose or win.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
It's ridiculous.
I either have fantastic luck or I have crap luck.
Yeah, and my last loss prior to this was Haru of 2020. God, it sucks to have that streak broken. I am upset.
There you go.
That's all right. Tarano
That's
Fuji, you're
half
coming
a
home to my team.
podcast, half of the life of this podcast to go.
I know.
Oh,
I love competitions, and I try my best not to lose them.
yeah. Despite Mac losing more often than me, I do have dramatically the lowest score on average.
That's
of all
true.
four of us.
I'm either fantastic or I suck.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, Ryan, what's my name?
Yokozuna Jake.
That is damn right. So the way that I suppose we should probably
Yokozuna Fleric, do you have any requests of me?
I'll
Maybe
leave
something
it to
more complex than stating your name.
I
did
state
have
my
one
name.
of you, but-
Black's like,
Yokozuna Fleric.
Okay, there
Sorry.
you go.
Yokozuna
That's all
Fleric.
there
there you go.
All right,
That's all I
Ryan. Why
need.
don't you
Super
walk us?
detail, Ryan.
Why don't you walk us
Now,
through
if you
your
could pick up
loss?
my dry cleaning laundry, that'd be great.
Why don't you walk us through your loss? Give us a brief overview of our champs and chumps.
So for Jake,
Sip.
Hey.
Yokozuna Jake, you'll remember his role in the prediction series was played by Lori from Sumo Kaboom, and she selected very wisely Tarano Fuji.
I'm
to
sorry. What was her name?
be Yokozuna Lori.
Oh,
That's
yes.
another sip for me.
That's a good point.
That
Yokozuna
sweet,
Lori.
sweet bush light.
I
Sumo
apologize.
Kaboom, let's go.
First female Yokozuna. That's got to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yokozuna Lori didn't do Yokozuna Jake any favors as she selected Ichi Yamamoto to be his chump. And Ichi Yamamoto started 6-2. But in the most fortuitous of circumstances, Ichi Yamamoto was pulled from the Basho, and Jake got to replace Ichi Yamamoto.
Sip.
Oh my God. I'm not going to have anything left to chug.
Should have left you more beers over there.
Yeah, no kidding. Ichi Yamamoto was pulled with a 6-3 record, so Yokozuna Jake got to select another Rikishi with a 6-3 record to be his chump. Usually,
How did I do
that's-
there?
That's not good because you're selecting somebody who's been doing really good in the tournament, so you're probably not going to get that many more losses. He selected very wisely, I would say, Chiyo Tairyu, who would go on to lose every single remaining match and go 6-9
Every
for the
single
total
one.
tournament.
Oh, my only other option. So the way that we do it is if somebody goes Kyujo, you have to pick someone with the same record just to make it fair. And my two options were Takakeisho and Chiyotairyu.
Ooh, there was really only one option for that.
It was the easiest call I've ever made. And Lori, you're welcome. Yokozuna Lori. You're
Yokozuna.
welcome.
Sip.
No.
That's water.
You lost.
Give me
I
some
didn't.
truly.
I mean,
And then
I'm going to because I want to, not because you told me.
Yokozuna Fleric story, a little bit more typical. He selected Takakeisho, won the June U show. He selected Wakamoto Haru, ended up with a 6-9 record. So good
Just
job
regular
overall
old
by
solid picks.
regular old good job by Yokozuna
And this
Fleric.
time, seriously, asshole, Wakamoto Haru.
He did his job.
Yeah.
I bet Yokozuna Fleric thinks very fondly of Wakamoto Haru.
What? He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Oh, shut up.
It's all right.
We're good butts.
And then for
I
myself,
won't take any slander.
I took Wakataka Kage to be my champ, thinking he might have the Yoseki run in him. He did not. Only got me 8 wins. And then I took Ura, kind of thinking, well, maybe his ankle injury isn't really gonna help him out all that much. He only had a 7-8 record. So that is how I ended up shotgunning a beer and drinking another one throughout this podcast, and we'll be singing a musical number for the Aki preview.
Mad props to Leslie for picking Abi as my champ, as that was the only thing that saved me from having to do this musical number.
You guys would have tied if it weren't for bonus points here. So,
Indeed.
Yeah. Well done.
So, Yokozuna Jake, how do you want to do this? Do you want I think
Go ahead
we
and chug the
should-
beer. I'll talk you through what's going on here. So
Okay.
so
There's not
we
much
had
left. They can't be.
because
There really wasn't.
No,
I
and it's
figured
Busch Light, so it was basically just water. But the way that we decided this, we've got 2 options for you on which song you'd like to sing, or which song you are going to sing with sumo lyrics as far as show tunes go. And we did make sure to pick songs that you were at least somewhat familiar with.
Aw. Not the
I'll-
I'm the very model of a modern major general. Like, that was so
That
good.
one would have been great, yes.
No, that would have been awful. That would have been a terrible finished product, and nobody
That
would
would
have
have
had a
been
good time.
We'll
fantastic.
agree to disagree.
Yokozuna Jake, I have come around to your way of thinking that maybe it shouldn't just be torture for the person who's getting punishment. Maybe we should aim for a good finished product.
So here's what me and Yokozuna Fleric decided upon. We have one song that is going to be much more vocally challenging, and one song that has a lot more words and could be a lot funnier. So we decided as long as you had to drink the 3rd beer of your life, we might as well let you pick between the 2.
This Busch Light is empty.
Yep. So you may choose for your show tune between Defying Gravity from Wicked,
Ooh.
or you may choose I Believe from the Book of Mormon.
Do I got to make my choice now?
I feel like because of the pressure of the situation, you absolutely have to choose.
Yeah.
I am familiar with both of those songs, so I do appreciate that. I think because I have a plan to make this even better, I think the way to go is the. That's tough. Those
You
are
even-
good.
Yeah.
You
Those are
stretched out
good
that sentence pretty
choices.
good, trying to think like maybe you'd have a decision by the end of it there.
Yeah. I don't have a coin handy.
In the meantime, how about we introduce some bold predictions and see how
I've got a coin,
Doesn't
Ryan.
do-
Do you want me
Well,
to flip it for you?
Yokozuna Jake, don't we need to play the shotgunning
That's
of
right.
the beer as well? So
Okay.
why don't we play that, and by the time we get to that, I will have reached my decision.
By the time we get to that, by the time we get through Ryan's punishment of shotgunning the beer, which will be spliced in here in the YouTube. I don't know why I'm saying it. If
Yeah.
you're already watching this, you're already
If you're
gonna
already
see it,
watching
like-
us.
Okay, whatever. Okay, here's Ryan
do
shotgunning a
want
beer
add-
because it's funny.
I do want to add a little context of where I'm pretty sure all of us forgot about this, like that where he said
Yes.
he would when
Yeah,
he loses.
absolutely.
But Ryan's just immaculate trap of just random like sports and sumo knowledge. He would not let it be forgotten and reminded all of us, and
The-
that is why that is what's delivering that here today.
The
Ryan
best
not
part,
forgetting facts.
exactly. The best part of Ryan's like pathologic competitiveness is that he won't even let himself off the hook.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, never let it be said that I do not take all of my losses and accept them
absolutely
as
right.
they are. I never try to shirk a loss.
All right, here's Ryan shotgunning a beer.
This is Ryan getting his comeuppance for finally losing in the sumo prediction series.
How long ago did we
I feel like it's been most of a year.
Yeah, it's been pretty close to a year.
It's been a while.
I would like to point out, I haven't lost in over 2 years.
So, yeah, get on with it here. So, part of Ryan's punishment, especially because it had been so long, was we're upping the stakes. He has to shotgun a beer as the dramatically least experienced drinker of the crew.
Oh, yes, like, infinitely so.
Like today, I've probably had more than you've had in your life.
Pretty close.
Anyways, we got Riley over there playing in the sink. But more importantly, Piper is here because Piper loves the shotgun beers.
Yeah.
So Ryan, let's put our lessons to use here.
All right.
Let's take care of it.
I've been told put it on its side.
Yeah, we're good so far.
We're gonna stab it with the key, lift it up, get verticality, open it up, and then it should just flow.
Verticality, perfect. Yes.
And I'd like to point out, the chosen beer for me was Busch Light, the favorite beer of Grand Sumo Breakdown, and particularly Flaric.
The official beer of Flaric of Grand Sumo Breakdown.
All right.
He's not here. We can say what we want.
Yeah, we doing it. What's my sharpest key?
Riley, we're busy. Hush.
All right, go with this one. No, that's my. If I break it, that's not a good one.
What do you think that can is made of?
Like carbonite? What's carbonite?
It's from Star Wars.
Can you tell I'm trying to?
I know. Yeah, it's transparent.
All right. Oh, that was a lot better than I thought.
Yeah. Get it up there. Yeah. This is like the only person for whom this is unpleasant enough to count as a punishment.
I'm like turned on right now.
Excuse you? I mean, same, but like, wow.
Are you still going? Sorry, dog.
Piper, finish that off for us.
Piper gets the shotgun too.
All right. Wait, is it still going? How tiny of a hole did you put in there?
I mean, that's all I really got out of it.
Yeah. Oh. Wow, I should have seen that coming.
I apologize to everybody listening. And
glad we don't have smell-o-vision on this podcast.
That is one beer, shotgun.
Well done, sir.
Not nearly as messy as I assumed.
Yeah, kind of disappointed in that. The dog, Piper is a lightweight, though, so yeah. All right.
And the baby did not see, blissfully unaware of the embarrassment her father is enduring.
I'll make sure not to turn this into CPS or anything.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's Ryan's punishment.
What part of it?
Part of it. We kept it under 3 minutes, though, so I get to... For shame.
For proof.
Did you hear?
That was worth it.
All right. Wow. I have an idea. I think all major decisions for this podcast should be decided in a shotgun beer competition because I could destroy that.
Well, now I know that
Let's go.
you really gotta work it
You
with
gotta-
the key
gotta
and
get
make
in
a
there.
larger
You gotta
hole.
seriously
And...
jam it.
Ryan was like, "Oh, let me poke a little needle hole in this thing."
No.
Do you know how many parties I've been to with copious amounts of like college level drinking parties?
Probably 3, and they were all hosted by the 4 of us.
No, 1, and it got busted by the cops, and I didn't have a single alcoholic beverage while I was there. I don't know how to do this.
I don't know why I ran.
Why did I run? Why did
But I did.
run?
So yeah, once
There you
again,
go.
apologies for just the awful camera quality on Jake's phone, Yokozuna Jake's phone. I don't have any more beer to sip, but I will apologize for not.
Yeah,
calling
you just
to
have
sip.
shame now.
Yeah, it's just shame.
Just shame and burps.
Yep. So I have reached a decision.
Okay.
I think
Good, because that video was like 3 minutes long.
because I have a plan to make the quality of the video better, it would work better with one of the songs, and it would make my wife happier to do one of the songs. So I am going to select Defying Gravity from Wicked, as sung by Adele Dazeem and Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh man, John Travolta joke.
Well done. Well done.
It is Chenoweth is the other one from Wicked?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So yes, we will get a
That's not
version
where I thought
of
that was gonna go.
Defying
Yeah, well done.
Gravity.
I
It'll
thought
make my
that
wife happy.
I thought
There you
that
go.
making you drink a second beer was price enough for letting you pick a song from the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. I
Defying
will say,
Gravity's more fun musically, and despite me not being good at singing, it'll still be
No.
fun.
There you go. Exactly.
yeah, I want to leave you with this one fact because it'll make you sad. But like like Jake and I, when we talked before, we were gonna pick Defying Gravity,
Were you?
but then, so I hopefully you feel pretty good about drinking that second beer because it did not change fate at all
No, you earned nothing from it.
or nothing.
Except a third beer.
Except
Here it
gotta-
is.
And here it is.
I gotta quench some thirst throughout the podcast by drinking this water next to me. So
There you go.
All right, let's talk about bold predictions already.
yes, so we got to give out a T-shirt, but before we do that, we gotta sift through the bad and then the good but not quite good enough predictions. So some bad predictions we had: Teru no Umi 89 thought Wakamoto Haru was going to get a June Yusho in his first Basho Up of the Joy.
Terrible.
Not a good call. Dwaynesworth had a lot of predictions, and actually some of them were pretty decent, but he really biffed it with the Chief Gyoji gets all of his bouts right prediction.
Ooh.
Nope.
No.
You
Biffed it in the biggest way.
Yeah, now you owe us a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give us a shirt.
And then Nate Sumo said that Asanoyama would lose to Koto Tebakari, who went 14-0 through Jonokuchi and Jonidan, but that's freaking Jonokuchi and Jonidan. I think Koto Tebakari ended up 4-2-1, never even fought Asanoyama. People thought
How many
He wasn't the only
Ozeki did he
person.
face down there in
Yeah.
Jonokuchi?
Yeah. Some good predictions that we had. Dan Nakashima said that Shodai would find it and return to good form and get an 11-4 record. 10-5 record, not
Pretty
too
close.
far
Not
off.
bad.
Stone Creek said Asanoyama would win Sandanme. He also said that the sun would rise the next day. He said Wakataka Kage would not be promoted to Ozeki, Tochinoshin Makekoshi, and Ichinojo will make it to Sanyaku. So a lot of good predictions
Solid.
from Stone Creek there. And then Pot of Dice, he said Ichinojo would get 10 plus wins, Tamawashi would not beat Tarano Fuji, and Takakeisho would not pull out for injury and would get 10 plus wins. So couple of sets of pretty good predictions there, but
Yeah.
the T-shirt winner ultimately is going to be Death Urge. He simply called it Ichinojo Yusho. He called a 13-2 record. 12-3 is not too bad, and predicting a Maegashira Yusho, that takes balls. That is bold, and you won the prediction series.
Well
so
done.
we will
Yeah.
contact you, Death Urge, on Twitter, get your T-shirt size and information, and send you a free Grand Sumo Breakdown T-shirt.
Yeah, that's a hell of a pull. Like,
Solid.
I mean, my heart absolutely goes out to those people that regularly call out Takayasu Yushos every single basho.
It
But
just
calling
never
Ichinojo
happens.
for this one was, that's a
Yeah.
gamble, and we got to reward the gambles.
Yeah, he went on the limb to call the Maegashira Yusho, but he also got a name in there as well. So props to you.
I think there was one more person who called an Ichinojo Yusho, but they were very specific that it was going to be 15 and Ichinojo is what they were calling. And they
Nope, not close
like,
enough.
commented multiple times saying like, it's going to happen. 15-0 Ichinojo during the first 6 days. And sorry, this guy called a couple losses for Ichinojo. That's a lot closer than 15-0. He gets a T-shirt.
There you go.
So Yokozuna Jake, I believe we had a question from one of our $3 level patrons.
Giuseppe sent us a question. If you were to have a job in the sumo world, from rickshaw to hairdresser, what would you take?
Ooh.
So maybe Yobidashi, Gyoji, Shimpan. What role in the entire thing do you think that you would excel at or have the most fun with?
I will start this one off because I have an idea right away. It's
Go ahead.
gotta be Yobudashi for me. Like you can like the amount of like interpretation you can say with singing these rickshaws names, because like every Yobudashi does like a little bit different for the most part. Sometimes a similar melody for the most part, but oh my goodness, I would have fun with that. You know, not having to like wake up at 6 a.m. Well, maybe you do, but maybe I don't know.
But
That
you
seems
wouldn't
like
have
the
to
role
get your
for me.
ass kicked when you did it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I'm not like hitting my head against wood stakes and shit like that. So
Try to sing all the names to the tune of "Call Me Maybe."
yeah, I would do stuff like that. I wouldn't last long on the job. They would kick me out right away, but I would have a fun time.
I got mine for next. I would actually be the hairdresser because you travel with the rickshaw You don't have to go out there and perform, but you're just as important to their style. You've got to get the chomage just right, and you get to enjoy all the other things that the wrestlers do when you're going around town. So yeah, hairdresser for sure.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got one?
I can only think of like the negatives for everything, and so I don't want any. It's like hairdresser. I don't want to mess with hair all day. Yobidashi, you're like the lowest guy on the totem pole, and you don't get any like clout or anything like that. I want some clout. Gyoji gets some clout, and they don't have to like do all. I think I would ultimately land on Gyoji. You don't have to do like the training that a Rikishi does. I'm very lazy by heart. Like my heart just wants to sit on the couch. And so I could do that and be a Gyoji. I can't do that and be a Rikishi. Although I do love the competitive nature of being a Rikishi. The part about Gyoji I wouldn't like is just like the public shaming every time you mess up.
Especially like people with podcasts.
I'm also confident enough in my own abilities that I wouldn't require a bunch of public shaming. So I would go with Gyoji.
I am going to take the best of Ryan's world and also get it even closer to the couch and say, I would love to be the video replay Shimpan guy.
Ooh.
Because there's...
You have to go through being a Rikishi to be a video replay Shimpan, though.
Yeah.
You got to assume
that's the issue.
You can't just like give me one of those elder stocks, you know. You gotta go through the crucible of a Rikishi career.
You're right. And I don't want to do that. But that's not what the question was. So
what job would you have?
No, so I feel like that would be where I would be kind of well suited. You know, kind of a guy like behind the desk, like, you know, making when it really comes down to it, making the real minuscule calls. I feel like that's something that I would enjoy doing, because being a Shimpan, or especially a Gyoji, having all that pressure of the split second, I'd rather have the evidence to back it up, and I'd rather be the guy doing the research to figure out what was actually right.
There you go. What you could do is you could be on the Yokozuna Deliberation Council East,
there
like
you
the official
go.
one.
Ooh.
You know, just like you can definitely do all the criticizing and all you want, and like you only meet like a couple times a year, and like that might be what you're looking for right there.
That's a really good point. I'm already the co-chair with the only other Yokozuna on YDC West. So I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to be immediately promoted to YDC East here.
Does cat that hangs out at a Heya count as a job?
You want to be Sumo Kitty?
I would love to be just a cat that hangs out at a Heya. Think of all the amazing food you would get.
What about a cat that hangs out at a sumo podcast?
Oh, Lord Panthro.
Yeah, look at this big boy.
Lord Panthro.
Look at this big boy.
Oh my god.
Mine
Everyone's pulling out their kitty cats.
Mine's got more hair. This is a very furry cat.
Mine is capable of love.
That's a good point. This one is
no Teddy.
This
Teddy
one
just
is straight
runs away.
This one is straight a lieutenant of Satan. So
yeah,
you raise a fair point.
Let's move on to the Gsb Awards. We've got plenty.
That was a great
go around
question.
this time.
Great question.
That was a very
Indeed.
good
Good job,
question.
Giuseppe.
Thank you, Giuseppe. As always.
We definitely appreciate any questions that come in from patrons. Like, you know, we're like Ryan said earlier, we are bloodbound by an ancient mummy curse to answer anything from our $3 patrons.
Indeed.
But by all means, like, if you send us questions, like, you know, we'll at least take a look. But we
probably
always
answer it too. Yeah.
We always appreciate ones coming from our patrons, especially the people that help keep the lights on, keep our hosting services paid for, and stuff like that. You know, that's we.
They don't have to be sumo related. They could be anything. We are honor bound.
Oh God, you're right. They could just ask us like, "What's our favorite ice cream?" And it would get weird.
Peanut Butter World from Ben & Jerry's.
Yeah,
That's
stop right there.
Waffles versus pancakes.
Let's stop right there.
Grape
move
jelly
on to
versus
the GSB
strawberry.
Awards.
What defines a sandwich?
Pancakes.
Don't
grape
even
jelly,
start with that sandwich definition.
2 slices of bread.
We almost brought that back up. Anyway.
All right. GSB Awards. So the first award we're going to hand out is the You Spin Me Right Round Award. This goes to Kotowaco for spinning Tochinoshin at least like 3 or 4 times around in their day 6 matchup. One of the few times that this Basho had,
that was great.
Like it had all the COVID stuff, and that was awesome. That was awful. But then it also had so many like weird, unique things that happened throughout, like that spin for the Kotowaco versus Tochinoshin.
Which
then-
ended in a throw.
Yeah. Kotoeko, I believe, ended up winning that match. And then
Yes.
we also had the most blatant intentional hair pull of all time award going to Chiyotaryu against Tobizaru. I mean, it's exactly as the award describes. It was the most blatant hair pull of all
When the
time.
Sheepon is like, like,
Yeah.
okay, that's bad.
Takami Sakari, I believe, is
Yes.
Yep.
who people identified that as. But yeah, he's just,
Oh,
can't do
dang.
that.
No.
It reminded me of that gif of like Chris Rock and whoever, Ice Cube maybe from Friday, where they just lean over and go, "Damn!"
Yeah. And then we had Tsurugisho just forgetting to grab his money after his win on
Okay,
day
that
10.
was good. I get paid?
And then if
We don't have a title for that one, but that's funny enough on its own.
yeah,
Mhm.
the Crimson Mask Award I'm giving to Daishoho, who very probably broke
Ooh.
his nose on day 10. The first time I've ever seen, and this was down in Juryo, the Gyoji had to pause the match because there was so much blood flowing out of his nose. They had to clean up Daishoho, clean up probably his opponent, the blood spilled on. And then after they restarted the match and the match completed, they had to like bring in a big pile of clay to cover the literal puddle of blood that was left in the doyo beneath the two. It is not for the squeamish, but first time I'd ever seen anything like that.
My favorite part was that when they paused the match, it like to clean it up. The cleanup made it so much messier than if they just like if the Gyoji just gave it like 2 more seconds, the match would have been done, and like the faucet, the source of the blood, would have been moved on. But no, we got to pause it for a minute. Yeah,
To the
whatever.
Gyoji's credit, very confident when he paused the match, didn't have any
Yes.
issues with anybody getting out of position after they paused the match. Were able to restart it without any video replay or Shippon interference required.
Fair enough. Good point.
Because no one cares about Juryo.
Jake, why don't you cover the next award? I have one award that I want to save to the end.
I don't know which one you mean.
You have your Kiribayama.
Did I do that one?
Yeah, I thought so. Maybe it was Mac.
Nope, 'twas not I.
Kiribayama. He did a silly flip and lost to Tamawashi on day 11. And it was,
I
and
thought
it
it
was really
you
funny.
Yeah, I thought it was you who particularly enjoyed that Kiribayama.
I gifted it. Yeah, I did I made a GIF out of it and put it on Twitter, and that was a lot of fun. I don't know. Maybe I thought I would have a funnier name by now, but it was funny. It was Kiribayama. It was like one of those where he could have landed like on his knees and elbows, kind of hard on the clay, but instead he just kind of decided, I don't know, I guess I might as well go all the way around.
Yeah.
That's straight from Bootskari, the thing where they like push
Smash
like
into each other and then push.
yeah, like the higher ones like that.
Yeah.
And after that, it's literally like the way that ends is like the higher Rikishi guy says, "We're gonna keep doing this till I actually throw you," and that's gonna be when we kind of know. But it's interesting how they do it like during practices because it's like very ritualistic. Like he just kind of like slightly taps him. They do that like little front flip or something like
Sure.
by themselves. So it's it was definitely from that training because it was a very good flip, I would say.
But yeah, definitely to Jake's point, it was like awkward because he was going to land in a bad position had he not flipped and then just landed on his back. So I know why he did it, but it was definitely like added force on Kiribayama's part to make sure he did that flip and land more safely on his back than like his head or neck.
Yeah, and even if he hadn't done it, he would have been fine, but like slightly less fine than doing the jump and landing like square on his
He
back.
still got air.
It's a very judo thing too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but in
Which
the
I can
moment,
see Kiribayama having history of.
yeah, in the moment, and especially in slow mo, it just looked really funny. It looked like it looked like he was slightly nudged, and he's like, "I guess I'm gonna flip now," and he does. Yeah.
Absolutely. Match of the Basho. We had quite a few candidates for match of the Basho. We had Ichi Yamamoto versus Tarano Fuji on day 2. That's kind of my dark horse one. I think everybody should go back and rewatch that one. It's going to be better than you think it was.
Yeah.
Tarano Fuji versus Kiribayama on day 2. Kotoeko versus Tochinoshin, the spinny one, on day 6. Wakataka Kage versus Kiribayama on day 6. Hoshoryu versus Kiribayama on day 8. Tarano Fuji versus Wakamoto Haru, the absolute wonderful match that turned into a mess on day 8, and Tarano Fuji versus Hoshoryu on day 11. As of right now, the podcast is split on who they believe should win match of the Basho. The Tsukebito and the Maegashira, Mac and I believe it should be Tarano Fuji versus Wakamoto Haru. The two Yokozuna believe it should be Tarano Fuji versus Hoshoryu. Anybody want to try to argue to sway somebody to their side?
Yes, I would like to sway you guys by saying both Yokozuna disagree with you. So I feel like that's that.
I
but
feel like
did
it
your match
solves it,
end
too.
with one of the strangest screw-ups? I mean, the Mawashi was coming undone. Tarano Fuji.
I'm voting
could
for the
see
match that was better, not the one that was weirder or more
But
memorable.
could you say, now hang on, Wakamoto Haru did push him out of the ring. Like, you can't convince me that Tarano Fuji had it.
Because he wasn't trying to not get pushed out of the ring.
But again, I just thought this was so good. Not just for the screw up, but for the potential. I thought Wakamoto Haru had this.
So for me, my voting, Wakamoto Haru versus Tarano Fuji before the whole debacle was still a very good match. Like,
sure.
I don't think Tarano Fuji versus Hoshoryu was like head and shoulders above this match. And then for the entire Basho that's going to get an asterisk, which is going to be followed by a Bansuke that's going to get an asterisk with Nitsuki Fuji, whose Kanto Show prize gets an asterisk.
So many.
Why not have the match that has an asterisk next to it be the match of the Basho?
Because
make
that
it
makes
the asterisk
no sense.
Basho.
Yeah.
I just feel like it was very close in quality to the Tarano Fuji Hoshoryu match, and then it had all this extra added on
drama
to it.
with it.
And so that's why I chose it as the match of the Basho. If we reach an impasse, that's absolutely fine. We'll have co-match of the Basho, but
no, we won't, because we have
I
two
think we have
Yokozuna who agree.
definitely outrank you. I'll do my talking of the thing. Like, I will give you that, like the spectacle, at least like the drama, like outside of the match, like was fantastic with the Tarano Fuji and Wakamoto Haru. But the just the match itself, I remember watching the other one back. There was like bigger lulls of like nothing going on in the Wakamoto Haru one, and like the way. But with Hoshoryu, the things I love, he went to that match with a plan. Like, he saw that spinny thing going with Tochinoshi and Kotoeko, and he's like, oh wait, this is a good way to take down a larger opponent. I'm just gonna try this stuff. And like it came down to like he was working for a while, but like the Yokozuna Tarano Fuji being a Yokozuna and like weathering that attack and then eventually getting him off into the edge. It's the things I love. It was action packed for majority of the time. Like, the guy had a plan, like, he executed on it, like, and like there was a result from that. And it was just a fun time. Like, I like both of the guys. So those are the three trifecta for me. It was a good match.
I believed all the way up until the end that Hoshoryu would finally get that win over Tarano Fuji. And that's one of those things, like that drama of like having a result that matters is a big part of making a match feel important and feel satisfying to me, regardless of which way it goes. Like, having stakes to it, to the individual match, adds a lot. And yeah, that was one that struck a chord with me in particular. And since I'm the Yokozuna and Flair's the Yokozuna, I think what we say goes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the outline has them both highlighted to be co-match of the Basho. So.
Oh shit! If only we knew how to highlight stuff.
I can't go against what the outline says.
You also can't go against what your Yokozuna says. So, oh no, the highlight, it's disappearing. Oh no, what happened?
But I can deny.
Oh well, I guess we'll have to move on and agree that Flairick and Jake are right.
All right,
you just have to accept the shame at the end of this thing. Well, with the two that the fact that we have co-winners, like, you just feel bad about it. That's all we require.
I don't even care so much that I'm right, just that you're wrong.
Yeah.
both you.
Haven't
both
I
of
been
you.
wrong enough this Basho?
No, Ryan and
No.
Mac, you guys need to be more wrong more often.
Yeah, at least I didn't lose.
So we have one more award we need to issue after this Basho. I think this is the first time in this podcast history we're issuing this kind of award, but I think it is due. We are issuing the Lifetime Achievement in Ashitori Award to Terutsu Yoshi, who got Ashitori wins not only on day 9, not only on day 10, but also on day 11. That is right, 3 consecutive Ashitori wins. And he continued to attempt to win by Ashitori for at least the next 2 days, and it might have gone on even further.
So frustrating to watch.
I love it.
So
It worked for
Teretsuyoshi-
3 out of the 5.
Yeah. So Teretsuyoshi, he is the 4th top division Rikishi to ever have 3 Ashitori victories in one Basho. That is not the most of all time, as Wakabayama did it 4 times in one Basho, twice. But what gives him the Lifetime Achievement and Ashitori Award is the fact that Teretsuyoshi is the first Rikishi in history in the top 2 divisions to have an Ashitori on 3 consecutive days. But another little kind of fun fact aside, did you know that the Hakuho of Ashitori exists and has been right beneath our noses the entire time we've been watching Sumo?
What?
I did not know this.
Let
So
me
you could be the Ryan.
introduce you to Amanoshima. He is currently ranked Makushita 33 and has 37 Ashitori wins in his career.
What?
That is 61% more Ashitori wins than the next highest Ashitori user in history, which
Oh,
is
man.
Wakabayama, who had, I think, 23.
Awesome.
That is redonkulous. I'm so upset.
Unbelievable.
I'm so
Ashi-
upset that Teretsuyoshi, despite all of this, isn't even the best at it.
Ashitori is Amanoshima's second most used Kimarite after Yorikiri and is tied with Oshidashi.
Oh,
He has done it 4 times in one Basho. He's the second Rikishi to ever have done it 4 times in one Basho, and he had only 7 matches in which to do it.
oh my god.
So while we are currently giving the
love
award
it.
to Teretsuyoshi for his impressive feat on days 9, 10, and 11, let everyone now be aware that the Hakuho of Ashitori exists, and it is Amanoshima, and he is currently thriving in, well, I wouldn't say thriving in Makushita, but he's in Makushita.
He's in Makushita.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
He's
this.
that wall.
I hate this
Like
so
to
much.
get to, yeah, to get to the higher ranks, you have to get this wall of this guy who does nothing but Ashitoris.
Yeah. Ashitori, for anybody who doesn't know that right off the top of their head, that's a leg pick. That's when you grab the leg and bring them out.
Yeah.
So Teretsuyoshi, yeah, he'll dive on I don't
Right from the touch,
3
yeah, he goes
days
low.
in a row. People were just like, I guess I'll charge at him like a normal charge. And Teretsuyoshi just kind of like feints a high charge and then goes under, grabs the leg, and then walks them out like a freaking dummy. Like, what? It's his only move.
And it worked.
Why though? It
right.
shouldn't.
This podcast is going on a lot longer than we usually do, which
Yeah.
I have no problem with, but I know some other people on this podcast do.
I have
So,
to go
Is
to
out.
bed.
Is
Uh,
out.
Favorite, we got to go through favorite moment of the Basho. I'll get mine out of the way real quick. I'm going to say it's that 4th straight day Teretsuyoshi attempted Ashitori. 'Cause I'm like, oh man, he went for it. and I
Go,
love
you
him for it.
glorious bastard.
Yeah, and this Basho full of sadness and tears, it was a rare moment of happiness late in the Basho. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Teretsu continuous Ashitori attempts were my favorite moment of the
Oh,
Basho.
no.
What
That's
about
great.
you, non-Yokozuna Mac?
For me, Koto Waco throwing Tochinoshin was just beautiful.
That was really good.
Uh,
All right, I'm gonna go with Tarano Fuji versus Takakeisha on the last day. I'm low key loving that rivalry, and I love that Takakeisha got one in on that. So hopefully more to come.
Wow, you guys, I don't know if I just value our friendship differently, but my favorite moment of the Basho was being able to watch the last 4 days together.
Oh,
That's
on
actually kind of the worst
vacation.
part. Honestly, that was kind of the
like
worst
the
part.
worst part of the tournament. Yeah.
You're right. Most of you actually kind of suck at breaking down matches as we watch them. Never mind that part. I don't know. I guess one of the good
Oh,
matches was my
dang.
favorite part. Whatever.
Throwing down some shade. Interesting.
But no,
what's
our
new?
vacation together where we were all living in a lake house and just
You're
dicking
right.
around.
My favorite part of the Basho was that day that we kayaked for 3.5
that
hours.
was so much fun.
And Flarik and I flipped each other in
So
Yeah.
The best.
It got
the best.
got pretty messy.
The best was when Ryan got back in his canoe and went, "Oh, Fleric," and then charged straight up the river. At
yeah,
him.
no, Fleric flipped Ryan's kayak and like paddled up to Gabby. I don't know if you guys heard this story, but like he paddled like as Ryan was like recovering, Fleric paddled up to Gabby and he was like, "That was all me. That was my fault. I
was too far behind."
Yeah. No, he was like, "I know that retribution's coming, and I messed up. that was on me." But no,
it wasn't a matter of
Ryan,
if, it was when.
It was still
Just
it
hearing
was
Ryan
still
call
my
out,
favorite.
"Oh, Fleric!"
Yeah, and I appreciate, Ryan, that you allowed Fleric to take off his glasses and pass them to someone else before flipping. But no, it was my favorite part of the Basho because we just,
We don't
especially
get to watch sumo together.
because
I
of how
know,
easy it is to record remotely. We haven't watched sumo together, like actually watched the new matches at the same time as each other in like years, it feels like.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. I just wish we had like better Basho for it.
A better one to enjoy.
Absolutely. And like we're trying to like explain everything to Mac's sister Sam, who accompanied us on this trip. And like it's the day where there's like 5 straight Kyujos, and we're like trying to teach her about sumo, and there's just
No, I
match after
promise
match
the
after
sport
match
is
not
cool.
happening.
She's like, "So what's going on here?" I'm like, "Well, that guy is a
Nothing.
forfeit loss." "Well, what about that one?" "Wait, he lost too?" Like, "Yeah, it's another forfeit."
This is in like 300 years. This is the most boring day of sumo. This is
We
the
swear
most
it's
Kyujos
good.
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I gotta go to bed.
So look forward to Bonsuke episode, hopefully beginning part of next week. We'll see if I can wrap my mind around how I want to attack this one by then. And then the next Basho is going to be starting September 10th. So look out for sumo then. Until then, Yokozuna Jake, you have one more thing.
That's only for pro sumo. You got to watch out for amateur tournaments.
That's absolutely right.
August 6th at noon Eastern time will be the Iron Belly. That's Florida's now the 2nd annual amateur sumo tournament. Labor Day weekend, that Saturday will be the Consulates Cup in Austin. And then the first weekend of October, I believe it's the 1st, there's the Grand Rapids tournament. There's also the U.S. Open sometime this fall. And I think it's November. We even have like the Texas Open in Houston, which will have $500 of prize money available. There's some serious shit going on for amateur sumo, so keep your eyes peeled for that, especially in the U.S. here. We're going to be doing all sorts of coverage, but in particular, that Iron Belly coming up in 2 weeks, we will have Grand Sumo Breakdown live stream commentary with video and all that on our YouTube page. So that's the next big one on the calendar. So make sure to mark that one off.
All right. So thank you everybody for listening so far. We do not deserve it.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Until next time,
Throw your salt high.
And keep moving forward.